We really appreciate you sharing this book with us, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's sparked a really fascinating deep dive for us today.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite a profound work, rooted in ancient Toltec wisdom.
Hmm.
Don Miguel Ruiz, he's a Nagual, a spiritual teacher from the Eagle Knight lineage.
Right.
And he's basically sharing this ancestral knowledge as a practical guide to personal freedom.
What really grabbed me, and I think you too, is this core idea of the dream of the planet. It's like
Yeah.
this massive collective dream, society's rules, beliefs, laws
Hmm.
that we're all sort of domesticated by from childhood. And Ruiz suggests this domestication. It's often the source of our suffering.
Exactly. It's like we absorb it without even realizing,
Yeah.
from when we're kids.
Yeah.
And it shapes how we see everything, ourselves, the world. It's this like invisible framework.
So our mission, our goal for this deep dive is really to unpack these four agreements. We want to pull out the really powerful nuggets, the key things that can help us, break free from that domestication and maybe start creating our own dream, a personal dream of, as he puts it, heaven on earth.
Yeah, a much better dream.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The first agreement, be impeccable with your word.
Right. And he says this is the most important one, the most powerful.
Really? Why is that?
Well, he sees the word as more than just talking. It's our power to create, like a gift from God or the source, whatever you want to call it. It's the tool of magic, basically.
Magic. Okay, unpack that a bit.
Yeah, not like pulling rabbits out of hats. He means it has two edges. It can create beauty, like heaven, or it can destroy, like hell. It depends how we use it.
Oh, okay. So creation and destruction, like a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the misuse of the word, he calls that black magic. I mean, not literal spells, but how we spread um, emotional poison,
Emotional poison, like what?
like anger, jealousy, envy, hate, and especially gossip. He really focuses on gossip. Even just, voicing strong negative opinions carelessly can act like these limiting spells we cast on others, or even ourselves. They create these negative agreements.
Right. He gives that incredibly striking example, doesn't he? The mother telling her daughter she has an ugly singing voice.
Oh, yeah. That one really lands.
It shows how just a few careless words can plant this seed, this agreement that just devastates someone's potential, maybe for their whole life.
Totally. The daughter believes it,
Yeah.
internalizes it, and maybe never sings again or always feels self-conscious. It shows the destructive power perfectly. We can cast these spells without even meaning to.
So the opposite of that misuse is impeccability. What does he mean by that exactly? He says without sin.
Yeah, but he reframes sin. It's not about breaking religious rules. For him, a sin is anything you do that goes against yourself.
Against yourself, like self-judgment.
Exactly.
Mm.
Self-judgment, self-blame, self-rejection. So being impeccable means taking responsibility for your words and actions, sure, but without beating yourself up. It's being clean, kind of.
Okay, so it's about using your energy, your word power towards truth and love for yourself, cleaning up the inner poison.
Precisely. You stop feeding the negativity.
And gossip. He calls it a computer virus for the mind. That's a strong image.
It really is. Think about it. Gossip spreads misinformation, negative judgments.
Yeah.
It infects how we perceive someone, maybe based on nothing true. Like that example of hearing bad things about a new teacher before you even meet them.
Yeah, you form an opinion instantly.
Right. It bypasses your own direct experience. It's harmful code.
And this isn't just about talking to other people, is it? He stresses being impeccable with our inner talk, too. That negative self-chatter.
Oh, hugely important. That inner critic can be relentless, constantly putting us down, reinforcing old negative beliefs. Being impeccable means cleaning up that internal dialogue, too. It's fundamental for self-love.
So basically, if you're impeccable with your word, inside and out, it builds a kind of immunity. Like, you're less vulnerable to other people's negativity or your own.
That's the idea. You become less susceptible to those spells, those negative opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he directly links the integrity of your word, how truthful and loving it is, to your level of self-love. They grow together.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to chew on just for the first one. Let's move to the second agreement. Don't take anything personally. He says this flows from the first.
It does. It's built on that foundation. The core idea here is that pretty much nothing other people do is actually because of you.
Nothing. That sounds extreme.
Well, he argues their actions, their words, even their opinions about you, they come from their own dream, their agreements, their domestication. It's about them, not you.
So taking it personally is selfish.
In a way, yeah. He calls it the maximum expression of selfishness or personal importance because you're assuming everything revolves around you, that
Hmm.
their mood, their comment, it's all a direct reaction to you.
Hmm, that's a big shift. Especially when someone says something hurtful directly to you, the instinct is to feel like it is about you.
Of course. But Ruiz says when you take it personally, you're basically agreeing with whatever negative thing was said. You buy into it. And that's how you get trapped in or your own dream of hell.
So if someone insults me, it's more about their own issues, their own projections.
That's the perspective, yes.
Hmm.
Their words reflect their own programming, their own wounds, not your inherent worth.
He uses that example of, like, if someone says you're the best or you're the worst, neither should really stick if you get this agreement.
Right. Because both are just opinions filtered through their own lens in that moment. They don't define you. He even says if someone claims you're hurting them,
Yeah.
it's often because your actions touched an existing wound they already had.
Yeah.
You didn't necessarily create the pain from scratch. You just activated something already there.
Okay, I can see how that could reduce conflict. If you don't take the bait, don't get defensive.
Exactly. Taking things personally fuels defensiveness, arguments, trying to prove them wrong. It's exhausting. Not taking it personally allows you to observe, maybe understand where they're coming from, without getting sucked into the drama.
He also flips it around, saying even our own opinions about ourselves aren't necessarily true. That links back to the first agreement again about negative self-talk.
It does. Those critical inner voices. Often just echoes of past criticism, things we absorbed, not objective reality.
Hmm.
He even brings up that Toltec idea of allies,
What's that?
suggesting that some thoughts, some voices in our head, might not even be ours originally, like mental parasites almost. It emphasizes that we have a choice about what thoughts we actually believe and give power to.
So taking things personally just sets us up for needless suffering. It keeps that cycle going.
Pretty much. It reinforces what he calls an addiction to suffering. But the flip side, the freedom you gain when you really start taking things personally,
Mm.
it's huge. Immunity to the poison, like we said, anger, jealousy, envy, even sadness. They just don't have the same hold.
Wow. Immunity. That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Okay, on to number 3. Don't make assumptions. This feels connected to.
very connected. We have this tendency, right, to constantly guess what others are thinking, feeling, why they did something.
Yeah, we fill in the blanks.
Exactly. And then we believe our guesses, our assumptions, are the absolute truth. And that leads to massive misunderstandings.
Which then leads to taking things personally.
Uh-huh. And creating drama.
Yeah.
He makes a really bold statement. All the sadness and drama in our lives comes from making assumptions and taking things personally.
All of it. That's a lot.
It is. But think about relationship conflicts, workplace issues.
Yeah.
How often do they start because someone assumed something instead of asking?
Yeah, pretty often.
He says we assume because we're often afraid to ask for clarification, afraid to seem dumb or afraid of the answer maybe. And our minds are already noisy, that mitote, that fog of thoughts.
Mm.
We tend to just hear what confirms our biases anyway.
He uses that funny example. Seeing someone attractive across the mall, they smile vaguely in your direction.
And bam, you've invented a whole future relationship based on zero actual information.
Guilty as charged. We've all done versions of that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And in relationships, we assume our partner knows what we want without us saying it. Then we get hurt when they inevitably can't read our mind.
Yeah, the mind reading expectation. It never works.
Never. It just breeds resentment. It seems our minds just crave explanations. We need to understand to feel safe, so if we don't know something, we just make it up. We assume.
And we assume everyone sees things the way we do, right?
Big time. We project our own worldview, our judgments, our fears onto everyone else, which then makes us afraid to be ourselves, because we assume they'll judge us the way we judge ourselves or others.
And we make assumptions about ourselves too, don't we? Like, I could never do that, or I'm definitely going to ace this.
Absolutely. Underestimating or overestimating based on assumptions, not reality.
Huh.
He also tackles that common relationship assumption. My love will change them.
Oh, yeah. The fixer-upper fantasy.
Right. He's clear. Love doesn't change people. People change themselves from within. Relying on your love to fix someone is just another dangerous assumption.
So the antidote is obvious but hard. Ask questions. Communicate clearly.
Basically, yes. Have the courage to ask, express what you need clearly, use your word impeccably, without assuming. He argues that if we all did this, most human problems would just dissolve.
Wow. That's simple, huh?
The principle is simple. The practice, not so much. Making assumptions is such a deep habit.
Yeah, it feels automatic sometimes.
It does. So breaking it takes real conscious effort, awareness,
Mm.
consistently choosing to ask instead of guess. It's about building a new habit through action.
Okay, which brings us perfectly to the fourth agreement. Always do your best. This is the one that makes the others stick, right?
Exactly. This is the action agreement. It turns the other three from nice ideas into lived habits. And the key here is that your best isn't some fixed, perfect standard.
Right, it changes.
It changes moment to moment, day to day, hour to hour even. Depends how you feel physically, mentally, emotionally. Are you sick,
Yeah.
tired, energized? Your best will look different.
That's actually really liberating. Takes the pressure off being perfect all the time.
Totally. The point is to give the best effort you can in that specific moment. Crucially, no more and no less.
Why no more? Isn't trying harder always better?
Not necessarily. If you push too hard, beyond your actual capacity in that moment, you burn yourself out, waste energy, and might even perform worse. But doing less than your best, that leads to regret, self-judgment, guilt.
Ah, okay. So it's about finding that sweet spot for right now.
Precisely. And when you consistently operate from that place of, I did my best, he says it breaks the spell of self-judgment, guilt, and self-punishment.
Oh, so.
Because if you truly know you gave it your all, what's there to judge? Even if you fail or make a mistake, you could look back and say, okay, that was the best I could do then. The inner critic loses its ammunition.
That makes sense. He tells that story about the guy meditating intensely, trying to force transcendence.
Yeah, and the master basically tells him, look, just live your life, be happy, love, and do your best in whatever you're doing. It's not about grim, joyless striving.
Right. It's about finding satisfaction in the action itself.
Exactly. Living intensely, being productive, yes, but finding joy in the doing, not just waiting for some future reward or outcome. That changes everything.
So doing your best helps you accept yourself, learn from mistakes without collapsing into self-blame.
Absolutely. You just say, I did my best, learn the lesson, and move on. Action, he says, is living fully. Inaction is denying life.
He brings up Forrest Gump again here, right? As someone who just did his best.
Yeah. Forrest just did whatever he was doing with his full, simple effort without expecting anything specific, and amazing things just kind of happened around him. It's a great illustration.
And this applies to everything, even small things.
Yes. He suggests making everything a ritual by doing your best. Like taking a shower isn't just getting clean. It's a ritual of honoring your body, loving yourself. You do it with your best attention and care.
So doing your best is the engine that drives the other three agreements. It's the practice that makes them real.
That's it. The first three are hard to maintain consistently without this fourth one. It's the constant effort, doing your best each time, that weakens the old habits. The gossip, the taking personally, the assuming.
And if you slip up, if you break an agreement,
If you're genuinely doing your best overall, you don't need to judge yourself harshly for the slip-ups. You just notice it, maybe do better next time, and keep going. Doing your best includes being kind to yourself when you're not perfect.
so consistent effort, self-compassion, that's the path.
Yeah, searching for personal freedom and self-love. He also emphasizes honoring your body, treating it well, seeing it as sacred. When you honor all four agreements consistently, he argues, living in that old hell becomes impossible. You create a beautiful life, you gain control.
But it takes willpower, right? Those old ways, the dream of the planet, they're strong.
Very strong. They're ingrained habits, reinforced constantly by society. So yeah, you need a strong will. You need to be like a warrior, he says, defending these new agreements every day.
A warrior for your own freedom.
Exactly. And if you break an agreement today, you just start again tomorrow. Do your best again tomorrow.
Wow. So 4 simple agreements, but they pack a really powerful punch, a whole path to transformation.
They really do. Simple to understand, maybe, but profound in their potential impact if you truly practice them. They offer a clear framework for changing your inner world and how you relate to everything outside. Less suffering, more peace, more freedom.
Okay, so for everyone listening, maybe take a moment to think, which one of these 4 agreements really jumped out at you today?
Yeah. Is there one that feels particularly relevant or maybe particularly challenging right now?
And what's maybe one tiny step, just one small thing you could do today or tomorrow to start practicing that agreement a little more consciously?
Because, this deep dive, it's really just scratching the surface. There's so much more in Ruiz's work and in Toltec wisdom generally.
Definitely worth exploring further, but the core message seems clear. Creating your own heaven on earth, that peace and freedom, it's not just a fantasy.
Right, it's possible. Through conscious choice and through the consistent practice, doing your best with these agreements.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. Lots to think about.